All right, folks, welcome to session number 4 of our filtering and reporting series. Today, we're going to jump into the big dog, our multi-step report tool. We're very excited to share it. And just as a reminder, after each session, we're putting these onto our playlist on YouTube. And Rob, you have the link for the YouTube playlist. If you could put that in the chat. Every week we're adding to it. So I think we got 3 videos up. After today, we'll have 4, and we'll finish up this series with 6 total meetings, and we encourage you to come back and look at these in the future. Just a quick reminder, if you're new to Apsona or you're just watching this video out of the blue, a little bit about us. Sona in Hindi means gold, and so we are called the Golden App. Very valuable to many admins in the Salesforce world. We've been on the App Exchange since 2011. We got thousands of customers. We work with any data model. It doesn't matter if it's a managed package or if it's custom or standard objects, we can do it all. We got great support and great ratings on App Exchange, so please do check us out. All right, we're going to jump into multi-step reporting. I have a link here. I actually have 2 links, Rob, and I think you've got access to both of them. We have a general multi-step report kind of overview page. And then this is a very specific section, this link in that same page that talks about when should you use a multi-step report versus a single step report. I'm going to very quickly go to our support page. So this is just our initial, all-inclusive support page with all of our documentation. If you scroll down to the bottom right, you'll see some reporting specific links. And if you click on multi-step report, this is the article that contains pretty much everything I'm going to talk about today and next week. It's a very rich article. It's very dense because multi-step report is kind of like, it's like a supercharged car. It's complex on purpose because it has to do so much. So there's lots of details to it, lots of nuance. And if you dive into this article, you will learn a bunch about how it works. The specific spot that I was looking at was comparing multi-step and single step. So this section has some good input about, like, as you're thinking through, like, I need a report, this is what I need. Do I really need multi-step, or will single step work? This is a good section to help you make that decision. And I kind of synthesize it in shorter bullets here. So multi-step report, its big kind of flagship feature is that you can access any field from any object in Salesforce and bring it into one report. As long as you have some kind of data that you can use to link records together, you can get them to show up in line. And so if you are trying to get information, trying to provide, a report that has information that is across many disparate objects that don't have a direct relationship to each other, multi-step report would probably be the thing that you need. Another feature about multi-step report that's unique to than our single-step report is that because you're going to build your report in steps, where each step accesses a different object, you can have your filters unique to those objects. So you could kind of start with a certain audience of records, and then in your next step, do a completely different filter on those records to pull up a subset of those. Whereas in single step, you kind of have a single filter window to create your report. As an example, let's say you wanted to see all of your partner accounts and you had some field on your account that recognized them as a very specific type of partner account. You would run a step on account, filter it to get your partner accounts. There you go. And then you say, oh, and now I want to show any opportunities related to those partner accounts, but only opportunities from a certain campaign or a certain year. Then you could do an opportunity step and filter that to get only a certain subset of opportunities that are related to the parent accounts. This is all taken from the documentation. These are kind of the examples that were used. Another good use case for multi-step is if you want to run separate queries on the same object, but show them in different ways. So for example, I want an account report and I want to see like the biggest opportunity for every year, and I want to see like a column for each year and the highest opportunity in each one. That's a good use case for multi-step, because you could do a separate step all on opportunity, but filtering it for the different year and all that. Lastly, there's some range and sort features that are unique to multi-step report that we're going to look at either this week or next, that allow you to kind of do what our metric fields do. I talked about metric fields last week, but in a more sophisticated way. So if you wanted to find the highest opportunity for a particular year, or if you wanted to have a ranked top 3 opportunities under an account, there's ways that multi-step reports allow for you to range and sort those that are more powerful than single step. All right, so we're going to start things out and actually start to build a report together. And I've got a use case that will sound complicated, but I'm trying to come up with something that's generic enough, but complex enough that it makes sense to use a multi-step report for. And we're going to build it together. So let's say that you have a request coming to you that says, hey, I want to identify the accounts in our system that purchased a certain kind of product last year. And then for those accounts, I want to know their staff, what their most recent campaign membership is in. What was their most recent campaign that they were a part of? So in order to do that, we have to span a lot of objects. I have a little example down here that I have on a worksheet that I use. So we need to get access to account information. We need to get access to product information because we want to identify a subset of products that were purchased last year. And so product is over here, and it has opportunity product as its joining object between product and opportunity. So that's kind of over here. And then we have contacts that are under these accounts. And those contacts have campaign memberships that relate them to a campaign. So we've got all these different objects at play. They don't have enough of a common relationship to use a standard report. So we're going to build it with a multi-step report. So here we go. I'm going to come into here, and I'm on my main screen. So to get to multi-step reporting, you will have a report tools tab, and you have access to a few different things depending on the packages you have. Charts and dashboards is an add-on. Scheduling is an add-on. And then we have access to single step, which you can also access via each object tab. And we're going to go into multi-step. We're going to create a new report here. And I'm also going to I have a little example on my other screen to make sure I build this the right way. Okay. I'm not going to spend too much time on foldering, but let me actually, before I jump in here, let me go back to the screen. So here's the multi-step report kind of list view. It defaults to my reports, and these are the ones that I'm going to use in the next coming weeks. You can go to all reports and see all the reports that you have visibility into. You can create folders. You can create them as private folders or global folders that everybody has access to. And reports will respect the privacy that you set for the report, for each folder. So I can come into a folder and I can say who it's visible to, kind of control that, and then the reports will live inside those folders. So let's start a new report, and we'll call it demo 1, and I'll put it into my reports. Okay, so what I'm going to do first to be able to answer this question of what's the latest campaign for the contacts in the accounts that purchased products last year. Whew, that's a mouthful. I'm going to start with the opportunity product object. And I'm doing that because that is the link down here between product and opportunity, which then has a link to account. So I'm going to choose opportunity product. Oops, excuse me. Okay, I have my opportunity product, and I want to use this opportunity product, since it's linked to an opportunity, to get to my account. And the reason I want to do that is because I need to later get to the contacts that are related to the account. So I need to kind of create a chain of data that's going to link to each other. So I'm going to go to the parent opportunity from this opportunity product step, and I'm going to put in the account. So now I'm going to have the account ID available to me. And I think I'm also going to grab the product name, just so I can kind of see what products we're dealing with. In my example, I'm trying to get kind of a controlled return for this demo. So I'm going to put in some restrictions. I'm saying that we want to look at opportunities that were won last year. So opportunity close date equals last, if I could get to it, last year. And I want to create a reasonable return. So I'm also going to fine tune that the product name contains Gen Watt. That's one of our products in our system. And I'm going to hit save. So now I'm filtering down to just a subset to kind of tell this story. Hey, I just really care about the folks that purchased this kind of product last year, but I want to know what their most recent campaign is. So now we've identified a subset of products and opportunities, and we've gotten their account ID by putting it into the report here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new step. I'm going to create a contact step because I'm trying to get to campaign memberships. So I have contact, and I'm going to retrieve fields here, and I'm going to get the contact account. So now I have the same piece of data in 2 steps, and that's key here. You're going to see because we're going to link them together. So I have the contact account and the account from the opportunity. I'm also going to put the contact ID in here because I'm going to need to get to the campaign memberships. And I'll put in the name of the contact so I know who we're talking about. I think I want the email. Okay, so now I've got my list of fields here. So I don't really need to filter here because I'm creating kind of my overall audience with my first step here by finding out which accounts purchase these products because I have that account ID. And so by my filter, I'm only getting a subset of accounts, and I want every contact in those accounts. So I don't need to filter my contact step. Now I'm going to link the 2 steps together. So the linkage, we'll talk more about this when we get into kind of details, but this linkage step gives you access to any data that has the ability to be linked together in different steps, and Apsona dynamically displays what's possible. So I chose to use account ID from the opportunity and account ID from contact. And as a quick tip, IDs are the best thing to use for linkages because they're unique record IDs in Salesforce, and those are what's behind those lookup fields, as we talked about a few weeks ago, to relate records. You can link on non-ID fields. You can see here product name and contact full name are available because they're both text fields. So technically you could match against those, but that wouldn't really work in this case. So I'm going to pick account. Now I've got my linkage. I'm going to hit save. At this point, it's important to save each step as you go. We're working on the back end on our developer team to make this a bit more flexible so you could bounce around between steps and do a bunch of stuff and then hit save all at once. But currently it's important to, in order to capture some of these details, to hit save as you go through the step. We're going to do one more step and then we're going to get close to a result here. We're going to do a step on campaign member because I'm ultimately trying to get to a list of the most recent campaign members. And I'm choosing from the object campaign member. Oops, I got to spell it right to get the right results. Okay. And now I'm going to choose my fields. So I need to link my campaign membership to my contacts. So I need the contact lookup. And as a reminder, I think I mentioned this before, these little icons, the chain link and the key, that means that these are ID fields. So the key is the record ID for that object. So you can see campaign member ID. The chain link icon means it's a lookup. So this campaign membership is related to the campaign via the lookup field. And this chain link icon represents that. If you don't see these icons, then it's not considered an ID field by Apsona. And we're going to pull in the campaign name so I could see what the campaign is. And we'll pull in the start date. Okay. And I'm going to do one more thing here that I haven't done yet, which is I'm going to use our range and sort feature. So I really just want the most recent campaign that they visited. I want to get a sense of these people that purchased our stuff last year. What was the most recent, thing they engaged in? So I'm going to choose the record containing the highest value of start date. Where did it go? There it is. So I'm going to get one result in terms of the campaign memberships. All right, I think we're good. We're going to run this and then we're going to make some edits because it's not going to be very pretty. Let's try it out. Okay, so the way that multi-step report kind of lays out, the steps are highlighted here. You can see there's a separation, products, contact, and I forgot to do something. See down here, campaign memberships. It's all by its lonesome. It's not related in line. That's because I forgot to make a linkage. So let's go back really quick. If there's no linkage between two steps, it will display it essentially as a separate report, but you can at least see it in one run. So I'm going to relate back to the contact step, the contact ID, to the campaign member contact lookup. Save it. Let's run it. Try this again. Okay, we're getting closer. So what we're seeing when we filtered our product step, we wanted to know that they were products that were of this Gen Watt family and that they were purchased last year. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the account for this product has a contact. And you can see here that this account ID doesn't have any contacts related to it. The contacts step, we linked to the product step via the account ID. And you can see that this is blank. So this is showing us a lot of data, but I don't really care to see the products. I just want to know that I'm looking at contacts whose companies purchase the product. So the filter logic is all I care about with this product step. And it's kind of gumming up the returns because I'm getting a lot of blanks because these accounts don't have contacts, but I don't care about them. I just am trying to find out this campaign info. So let me go back in here and I'm going to go to the product step and I'm going to hide it because it doesn't matter for my concerns here. Let's save and run it again. That looks a lot better. Now what I'm seeing is a list of contacts with their email address. And because I did that rank and sort, I'm getting the most recent campaign membership that this contact has, which is this user conference on 10/21/22. I still don't like this because these IDs over here, I need them to link, but I don't need to see them. So I'm going to go to set columns, get rid of those, apply. There we go. That's a nice clean list. Oh, and I'm missing some emails. A nice clean list of contacts that purchase these products and their most recent campaign membership. Okay, that was a big chunk of stuff, but what I wanted to do was kind of like explore a lot of features of the multi-step report tool kind of all in one. So we got a sense of a lot of different features of the tool. I don't know if we have any kind
We
of...
have a couple of questions, so.
Oh, the Q&A tab I didn't pull up. Let me do that.
No, that's okay. So the first question is from Anne.
Okay.
Is it true that the first step must be an object? It would be so lovely if the first step could be another Apsona report.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it from that perspective. It does have to be an object. You can't necessarily reference a report. I think the closest you could get to would be, creating your filter so that it essentially gives you the same results as that other report. But I think because a report can include lots of variations and lots of child and parent objects, I could see that kind of on the code level getting messy in terms of like how to represent it as the first step. So at this point, it does require that it's an object.
Okay. And the second question is from Lisa. And she says, I see the first quarter and the last quarter options. Is there a way to set the start date of our fiscal year where any gotchas with setting that default known bugs?
Gotcha. That is a kind of a Salesforce question. Yes, there is a way to set your fiscal year in Salesforce, and then Apsona will reflect that. So Apsona does have a lot of filters on dates that say last fiscal year or whatever, and it will respect your fiscal year settings. And in a nutshell, you just go to setup, and I think you literally just type in fiscal year, and it allows you to set kind of the display of your fiscal year, when it starts. Do you label it by the first month or the last month of the year, etc. And it seems like it's taken its time, but yeah, so it's a setting right here. And I forgot what the custom fiscal year ends up providing, but there you go, that's it. And then once you set that, you can reference it in Apsona and it'll respect it. Awesome.
And that's something that you said it once, right, Chad? But you can't change it back. Is that correct? or am I wrong?
Question, like it's,
I don't remember.
I
I thought
think
there was something weird about that.
maybe, I think you can change it, but if you just do
Okay.
some good old-fashioned Googling on that one, I bet you there's the answer. Um, okay, good. Thank you for those questions. One thing that the first question made me think of is when you're looking at a step in multi-step reports specifically, if I go to the retrieve fields, you'll note that I have access to all of the parent objects of my source object, which is opportunity product in this scenario, but I don't have access to display fields of child objects, whereas in single step reports, I do. So as I've always talked about with single step reports, if I start with opportunity, I get access to account fields above it and opportunity contact roles, opportunity products below it. In multi-step, if you need to access child records and relate them back to or display fields of child records in relationship to your current object, you create another step. That's the answer in multi-step. But you can display parent fields in the same step for a single object. So I wanted to make that distinction. Now, in filtering, you can still access hold on, add a term. I'm in, opportunity product doesn't really have, let's go back, let's go to contact. Get out of here. Contact, filter term, add a term. Am I still? I'm sorry. I gotta get out of here. Let me just get rid of I added a filter term without. There we go. Now I'm in the contact step. Filter, here we go. So when you're filtering, you can filter on child objects. So you can say, I only want to see contacts with campaign memberships or whatever. So filtering doesn't, you still have the same access to child objects, but when you're displaying the fields, if you want to display child objects, you need a new step for that.
We have
Okay.
another
Yeah.
question from Anne. Is the fiscal year always available to filter on if it is set in the field is a date?
In Apsona, I think so. Let's just see, like created date on contact. That's just a random date. Created date, date only, equals. I've got this fiscal quarter, this fiscal year. I also have range options for dates. I can say relative, the last 2 fiscal quarters or fiscal years. So yeah, I think as long as it's a date or a date time field, you can filter it on fiscal year. Thank you.
Okay, if I allow her to talk for a sec, just
Oh,
to
of
make sure
course.
we answered her question.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not sure if I unmuted the right Anne. Anne, does that answer your question? Oop.
All right, that's okay. We can give
Oh.
some space. Yeah, hello. Okay,
I can't
that's
hear.
okay. We'll keep cruising. We can address it after the presentation as well.
Yes, answered. Thanks, Anne.
Great, thanks. All right, so we built our first multi-step. It was pretty complex. It stretched through a lot of objects. Back to our drawing here, we were really reaching all the way to campaign, all the way to product, all the way to account. So you can see kind of the power of our reach. Let's go on to the next slide here. All right, so we're almost out of our 30 minutes. I think what I was expecting to do was this week, I was just going to kind of go as far as I could go on features and then just continue next week. So we're going to start showing I have some demo reports to highlight various features of multi-step that are unique to the multi-step report tool. And I'll cover 2 or 3, and then we'll just go ahead and call it a day and jump into Q&A. And then next week I'll pick up where we left off. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the range and sort. I did kind of preview that, but I have a report that is specific to it. So here's a simple multi-step where I have a first step on accounts. And I have pulled in the account name, the account ID. Oh, and we have someone that's got a question too, Rob, if you could unmute Laura. Oh, maybe that went away. And I have a second step on opportunities where I'm linking back to the account, and I have close date, name, and amount. And if I just run it, I get multiple opportunities for every account. You can see here, here's the account information, and then it lists all the opportunities. Let's say that I wanted to show the top 3. I've got, this big one up here and then a bunch of little ones. I've got this is a larger one out of the group. So let's say I want to get the top 3 opportunities. If I go back to edit and I go to the op step, range and sort, I'm going to say the first 3 records when ranked by amount in descending order. So I'm going to go from highest to lowest, but only the top 3. Let's save and run this. Now we get a nice little clean list. We know it's ordered by amount, so we know we're looking at the highest amounts, and we've limited it to 3, so we get our top 3 per account. And that's pretty cool. Similarly, you can just choose one, say the record containing the highest amount, or you could change this to 1. But I thought that that's a really cool feature. This doesn't exist in single step. Single step, you get some grouping, but you don't get this really cool way of showing a sublist of related records that are filtered. Cool. I'm going to go on to the next demo, which is autofill. Let's go to the next tab here. So I have a report that's similar. I have an account step and opportunity step. When I run it, I'm getting several opportunities under a single account, but you'll note that the account just shows once, which might be fine for some scenarios, but some scenarios you might want to actually see this data repeated. If you wanted to export this as a CSV and you want to know that the account is represented on the same line as the opportunity, you're not going to get that here. If I were to export this really quick, it's going to be almost exactly as what I'm looking at. Let's see if I could pull this back up. So I'm getting kind of similar returns, a bunch of blanks. So if you go into edit and on the account step here, I could click autofill previous step data. Actually, it doesn't matter what step you're on. This is kind of report wide. What it's going to do is it's going to repeat whatever data you've put in for every line. This one didn't have a phone number, so there's no phone number, but this one did, and it repeated. But you'll notice that the IDs don't repeat. That is one of the things that the multi-step doesn't do for technical reasons that I probably don't even know, but I think it just had to do with like the way that these SQL queries are working and pulling in data. It wasn't able to repeat the IDs, but it does repeat all the other information. So that's a cool feature. Sometimes it's helpful to do that. Let's do one more and then we will break for the day. Column blocks is a great one. I've got my next report ready. So we also have a similar report here. We have accounts with opportunities. And if we run it, we're going to see as we've, oh, I gave away the secret. Let's pull this off. Save and run it. This is how it would normally look. You'd have multiple opportunities vertically displayed under each account. But if you want to see the opportunities horizontally so that you can kind of stick to like one row per account and have all that good data built in there, you can use column blocks. So on the opportunity step, I'm going to say, show this step's records in X amount of column blocks. You do have to define it manually. We aren't at the point where we have like dynamic column blocks, but if you know the upper limit, or if you really only need to see a certain amount, you would just set this to the upper limit and it will respect that. So I'll just do 5 for the sake of the demo. And if I run it, I now see the opportunities broken out into opportunity 1, 2, etc. And it shows the data repeatedly horizontally. Up here, these accounts don't have opportunities. So I could have filtered my account step to say it has to have an opportunity, and that would get rid of those, but I just left it open. But this at least shows things horizontally. And now you're not getting multiple rows for one account. You're just getting one nice clean row, which is sometimes how you want your data to be represented. All right. I think we're at a good stopping point. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and we will move on to the next phase. Let me go back to my slides here. I like to kind of close things up by making sure people see that. We got a YouTube channel with lots of videos if you want to visit us there. Our LinkedIn page has an events page where we post upcoming events, and we encourage you to check that out. You can always email us at sales-and-support@Apsona. And we have twice weekly office hours where you can visit us and talk with us live about any issues that you have. All right. Thank you very
We
much.
have another question if you want to keep it on the
Sure.
recording.
If you
It says, if you have all the columns filled in, you might try adding another step with the information needed added again. Not sure I understood that.
If you're up for talking, we can unmute you. I don't know that I understand it as well. I don't know that we can easily get to when it's anonymous. I'm not sure if we know who it is.
I can't.
Sorry, so you don't have empty column data from the last example. As in right here or to the right? I guess, I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but it is true that if I set 5 column blocks, I'm going to have 5 sections regardless of how many opportunities are there. So it's possible that if somebody only has 3 opportunities, there's going to be blanks to the right. And that is, that's just part of the architecture, that you have to set columns statically. But yeah, so I'm not sure if I answered the question, but I think we're going to go ahead and close it up, and then we'll talk after the fact here. Thank you very much.